years away from the classroom, I returned to find the same educational atmosphere. Yet I immediately noticed a shift in the makeup of the classroom of students. In particular, there was a difference in how the students viewed their role as a learner. There was the typical, overachiever, and then there was, I've got it now, so let's go have some fun. And then you had your students who, I just want to get by. But with these students, there was also a few students, maybe one or two, that just did not care to learn. These students had not been identified or were not identified with a learning disability, and most of them have been retained. This phenomenon of student disengagement in the intermediate grades increases every school year. By working with these students in an after-school book club and having conversations with their caregivers may uncover some truths of this existing phenomenon. Through these conversations, observations, and collections of artifacts, I hope in discovering why this disengagement presently occurs at such a young age. My project is going to be focused on the hermeneutic phenomenological theoretical framework. And so I named this paper Returning to Neverland. So hermeneutic phenomenology offers an approach that's recognizable to educators. It's something that we do. Teachers easily attach themselves to hermeneutic phenomenology because they immediately recognize their own practice, their classrooms, and their students. Hermeneutical phenomenology is the extension from Husserl's phenomenology of philosophy. Martin Heidegger, a former student of Husserl, developed this framework. Hermeneutic phenomenology does not follow traditional research methods where rigid standards must be adhered. Rather, it is a method emerging and evolving from adjustments, queries, and reflections from the researcher. The observation and description of the phenomenon precedes any proposed formulated theories. Even then, conclusions may never be absolute. Interpretations are constantly provisional, shifting, and in a state of formation. To fully understand hermeneutic phenomenology, one must understand the concepts of phenomenology. Edmund Husserl shaped and established phenomenology during the early 20th century from an extension of his mathematical philosophies. Husserl referred to phenomenology as a manner or style of thinking. Phenomenology offers a portrayal of how we or our participants perceive reality and how the world is perceived through their subjective experience. Adopting phenomenology does not involve following prescribed steps, but rather it requires developing and applying a certain perspective to the world. So one of the first things that we need to do in developing this is to look at subjectivity. The practice of phenomenology necessitates an understanding of the individual's perception of the world. Husserl believed people see their world, their reality, in two ways. In one way, they are aware of how things are. It's just the way things are. It's the naturalistic approach of why things are the way they are, the subjective perspective. Being consciously aware of how we construct meaning in our lives is phenomenological awareness. The next development requires a phenomenological reduction. Phenomenological reduction requires abandoning not only personal prejudice, but also scientific concepts. Phenomenological reduction results when two events simultaneously occur. The first event is referred to as epoche, suspending of judgment. Occurring simultaneously with the suspension of judgment, we have the possibility of experiencing the transcendental ego, or the state of awareness. We then need to develop intersubjectivity. It is no longer an individual understanding, but a shared understanding with others. This is the transference from a personal meaning to a shared meaning. This is the unification of meaning. My conscious meaning and your conscious meaning develops into our conscious meaning. We then need intentionality. Intentionality is the responding to our conscious, what we are experiencing, by providing a mental representation. Intentionality occurs when we make a mental or verbal reference, then a relationship of meaning forms. Our consciousness is directed towards an object mentally projected. For example, if I think about a car, my mind will create an image representing that thought. Once we've developed these perspectives, we can now move to hermeneutic phenomenology. Heidegger took a step further from phenomenology and added interpretation. Thus, hermeneutic phenomenology was born. Hermeneutic phenomenology offers a research method for observing and describing a phenomenon, then interpreting the particular phenomenon. Hermeneutic phenomenology adopts the phenomenological approach of participating in discovering the realities and perspectives of individuals, but reaches out further by explaining the discoveries. Phenomenology only seeks to describe these insights. Hermeneutic phenomenology then takes these descriptions and evaluates them for understanding. So back to my underachievers. In addressing the complexities within the classroom, hermeneutic phenomenology, along with phenomenological approaches, offers a path the researcher can follow in discovering, describing, and interpreting these complexities. With this knowledge, teachers may be better equipped in improving the state of the students.